Issue 1 is a very important issue. Hopefully most of you know about it. If you don't know about it now, I guarantee you will know about it when we get done talking about it. You know Judge Starn, he was our former municipal court judge. He's now judge of the common pleas. Judge Starn has sort of been on the forefront educating people about the pitfalls and the problems with issue 1. And so I think Judge Starn would be best to at least bring you up to speed on issue 1, and then Judge Miller, and then myself will have some comments along the way. Judge?
I also want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. State Issue 1 is a ballot initiative that's going to be on November 6th. It is a proposed constitutional amendment in the state of Ohio. What the proponents have labeled the initiative is the Neighborhood Safety, Drug Treatment, and Rehabilitation Amendment. What the ballot language says it is Issue 1 to reduce penalties for crimes of obtaining, possessing, or using illegal drugs. It started largely back at the end of August when the Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court came out and started trying to make people aware of what this initiative is going to do. What State Issue 1 purports to do is to change the criminal designation of what they are calling low-level, nonviolent felonies, primarily drug offenses, that are currently designated felony 4s and 5s, and change them by constitutional amendment to misdemeanors. It then says that on the first 2 convictions for misdemeanor possession of drugs, you cannot go to jail. It then goes on to put forth additional provisions related to probation violations, or what we now call community control violations, and some provisions allowing for what we used to essentially call good time credit, sentence reduction credits for those that are currently serving prison sentences. The proponents of the amendment say it is to increase treatment for low-level drug offenders rather than putting them in prison, and to decrease the prison population by giving people an opportunity to better themselves and get out early. And it has become a political issue. The governor's candidates are on opposite sides. All the political organizations you would expect to come down on this are coming down very much where you would expect. The interesting part about this is that the claims the proponents are making can only be achieved if you ignore the language of the amendment. It takes anything that is currently designated as a felony 4 or a felony 5, which are the 2 lowest level felonies, and says those now become misdemeanors. So here is the range that we are talking about. This covers everything from the 18-year-old college student who makes the choice to try cocaine the first time and gets caught with a 1 dose of cocaine, 1/10 of a gram. I'm not exactly certain what a single dose of cocaine is. 1 dose of cocaine, all the way to the convicted felon who gets released from prison and gets arrested with 19.99 grams of fentanyl. Okay? If you are not familiar with how much fentanyl that is, 19.999, and the rule, the statute would say less than 20 grams. 20 grams of fentanyl, according to the Drug Enforcement Agency, is enough to kill 10,000 people. And this constitutional amendment says you cannot go to jail for possessing that much fentanyl. You can't go to jail the second time you get caught possessing that much fentanyl. Only the 3rd time in a 2-year period do the judges even have the option of sending you to jail. Now, the reason the proponents say that's a good thing is because rather than sending you to jail or prison, they want you to get drug treatment. Now, anybody in this room who follows the criminal justice system knows I run a drug court docket, okay? I have seen drug courts work. All the data indicates that they are being successful statewide. This amendment will eviscerate drug courts. Because the premise of a drug court and the premise of judges being able to order treatment is that we have a hammer to be able to make people do what we're asking them to do. We're not talking about folks who were voluntarily going to treatment to begin with. Okay? Under this amendment, Judge Miller, Judge Hackenberg, with all of the new drug cases they would get, can order, you must go to drug treatment. And literally, the defendant can stand there in the courtroom and say, I'm not going And there's not thing one they can do about it, because you do not have the option of sending them to jail. It is also not limited to what they are calling low-level drug offenders. And again, I don't think 19 grams of fentanyl, 49 doses of heroin, those are not low-level drug offenders. They also reclassify probation violations and say that any probation violation that is not a new crime cannot result in you being sent to prison. So here's what that means. The felony domestic violence case, where I make a decision to try and get them counseling and treatment and therapy to remedy the problem that brought us here, if they refuse to go, they go around the victim, they violate their electronic monitoring, they violate their house arrest, but are lucky enough not to commit a new crime, cannot go to prison. No matter how many violations they commit, they cannot go. And the proponents say this is only dealing with low-level, nonviolent drug offenders. Today, the Ohio Department of Health released its report on 2017 drug overdoses. Okay? There's good and bad news in it. And I'm going to say here, I would encourage you to look at the report. Here's the interesting part of the report. Of the drug overdoses in the state of Ohio in 2017, 70.7% involved fentanyl. And the proponents of this amendment want to make it essentially legal to carry less than 20 grams. And it's not a legalization amendment, but when you can't be punished for carrying it by going to jail, you've essentially legalized it. I am in favor of treatment. I get heat from prosecutors occasionally that I give too many opportunities for treatment. I'll take that heat. This is not about treatment. This will hurt treatment. It will go down. Remember I said that all the groups that are lining up you would expect politically to line up are there? These are nonpartisan organizations that deal with drug addiction, drug enforcement, those types of issues. Every one of these are coming out against State Issue 1. Our local Adamus Board and the state organization for the Adamus Board, the board that does treatment for the courts, is opposing this amendment. The Community Corrections Planning Board here in Hancock County has passed a resolution opposing this amendment. The Chief Justice came out opposing this amendment. If you look at this list and look at the people that know what this stuff is about, all of them are opposing this. The Highway Patrol at our conference about 2 weeks ago, on their fentanyl interdiction efforts, 85% of their drug interdiction on fentanyl involves less than 20 grams. So the drug dealer has zero incentive to not carry 19.999 grams because they can't. Will they lose the drugs? Yes. Will they go to jail? Not a chance. You fix it. It is going into the Constitution if it passes. Even if you're in favor of every word in this amendment, you should still oppose it because we should not be putting criminal code in the Constitution.
What we want to make the council aware is if this passes, it's going to have ramifications on how the Findlay Police Department does business. It's going to have ramifications on how the courts do business and how we as a community go forward at this point. We will see more addicts using because they won't have negative or jailable repercussions. So I believe that in this community, where we have been able to hold the line on overdose deaths, that we will start to see that increase that other communities are currently seeing and that the state of Ohio is seeing. Specifically, it's my understanding that at any given time, the Common Pleas Court probation staff is supervising upwards of 250 felons who have had F4 or F5 possession offenses. In 2018, so far this year, there have been approximately 150 felony indictments for F4 or F5 possession. If issue 1 passes, those would then be classified going forward as misdemeanors. The county prosecutor, as of September 21st, had another 54 cases waiting to go to grand jury. And if issue 1 passes, in theory, they would be able to go up to the second floor and file as misdemeanors right now. As Judge Starn indicated, for persons on their first conviction or their second conviction, all I can do is put them on probation. If that person fails to come and meet with their probation officer or does show up and has a urine screen that shows that they have been using illegal substances, All I can do is put them on an ankle bracelet, give them community service. That's really about it. And increase the amount of treatment that they're supposed to go to. As was mentioned, if we are lucky enough that that probation violation would constitute a crime, which we certainly don't want for our citizens of this community, then I could look at incarcerating that probation. We gave some brief thought to the fact, is it even worth putting those people on supervision? Or do we just say, we can't do anything to you anyway, please don't overdose, good luck? And we've come to the conclusion that that's not the response that we as judges have, or that we want to go forward with the community. We have the responsibility under the revised code to follow the sentencing principles, which say we are to protect the community, punish the offender, and provide rehabilitation. So we are of a mindset that we would in fact put those people under supervision and hopefully be able to provide positive changes in their life without the threat of jail, but that's going to come with a cost. So if we are looking at what is happening in 2018, pushing that into 2019, we would have an additional 200 plus misdemeanor drug possession cases. Oh, by the way, this is only October. We have 3 more months to go. So we are predicting that we could have an additional 225 plus cases that would be required to be supervised by our probation staff. That's the philosophy that we are thinking that we would employ for the safety of Findlay and Hancock County, that those folks would be supervised, would be encouraged to get treatment, and we would provide that level of guidance for them, even knowing that we may not have any significant stick to hold over someone's head to force the treatment. And that's going to come with the price tag, and I'll let Judge Hackenberg talk about
shake
that.
out, but we can fairly confidently say that we would be looking at least bringing on 3 additional full-time probation officers just to manage the caseload. We also have to outfit and equip these officers, not to mention we have to find some more space for these officers. That conservatively is coming in about $330,000 to outfit, equip, and find space for 3 probation officers. That may not be enough, depending on how it goes if this does pass. Again, these are just our best guesses on current numbers that we're seeing right now, as Judge Miller has just provided to you. So in sum, I would hope that council at least considers all the negativity with issue 1. Myself, along with Judge Miller and Judge Starn, would urge council to take a public position in opposition to this, hopefully by resolution or certainly by at least a motion, and join the list of nonpartisan agencies, organizations, entities, governments that are opposing issue 1, and we'd love to add the city of Findlay to that list. It is growing every day. And if nothing else, please get out there and educate anyone you talk to about issue 1. It is that important for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to take a position, write a letter, and be on the forefront, urging all of us judges, 800 and some of us, to get out here and do what we're doing. You know it is dang important to this state. Again, thank you for your time.